Hello and welcome back to Tech Tip of the Month, sponsored by A2J Tech. For those that don't know me, my name is Mauricio Duarte and I'm the Chief Operating Officer with A2J Tech, a company focused on helping legal services organizations, law firms, courts, and any stakeholder in the legal industry that wants to use technology to leverage access to justice. So today we're going to talk about a bit about accessibility and digital accessibility. Some of you might be aware that there is some legal provisions and obligations to have digital accessibility, and that expands to websites, meaning you should have an accessible website. There are different types of disabilities that people can have, and therefore you have to do your best to implement the best practices, and there are different levels of compliance that you can have for an accessibility point of view. I'm not expert on accessibility. My designers in our team are. However, I did want to share a tool that we use on certain cases and certain projects to check if a website is accessible, and that is Wave. Wave is a web accessibility tool that helps you flag any potential issues on accessibility or gives you some recommendations or suggestions or things that you're doing correctly on your website. Again, I'm just using a website, a general website. In this case, I'm using HubSpot as a sample for how this tool works. And you're gonna see on my left the Wave panel that basically shows some of the summary view of the structure of this website. Again, you can see that some is gonna show errors, contrast errors, and we're gonna go through them real quick. But it gives us basically tags on every single section of the website, and it flags how's the current structure of our website. Again, from a distance, someone might say, oh, but it has some errors and it has contrast errors. And there has to be said that this is just a tool. Sometimes the contrast or the errors that it flags are not necessarily ideal or perfect. So overall, I would say this website for HubSpot is pretty accessible, again, without having a disability, but from a distance. Seems that it has enough components to be accessible, although Wave flags certain things as that potentially cannot be accessible. For instance, you're gonna see that the main one are contrast errors, and it's usually highlighting the buttons with an orange background and white letters. Usually white letters represent some problems from a visibility perspective. And this is the good thing about Wave, is that if you go into details, it's gonna take you to the different sections that might potentially have an issue that you wanna remediate or change in your website. And if you wanna learn more about why that's being flagged, you can read more about it. Now, again, there are certain things that from a digital perspective, even though could show as a potential error, as a mistake, you maybe have done your homework and you have vetted that combination of colors is accessible. So sometimes there could be what I call false alarms from a tool like this, but it helps you to get a sense of how your website is structured. So you're gonna see here it has some potential alerts, but it also shows you all the benefits, all the good things that your website has. And the same thing goes to reading in further detail about your website. So this is not intended to be a comprehensive overview of accessibility, because again, that's why we have designers in our team that are experts on accessibility, but this is a short tool that you can use just to take a look if your website is accessible or there should be some remediations. Now, The other thing to be aware of is that there is a new trend of certain tools in the market that say that they're accessible or that help you mitigate and remediate any type of accessibility issues that you might have in your website. Our recommendation is to always read more about those solutions and take an informed decision. In some aspects, they could help to flag potential issues, but they should not be the only solution to remediate any accessibility issues in your website. So that's for the tech tip for this month. Again, I urge you to check Wave if you are a website developer or someone that just likes to understand how a website is structured. Maybe you are thinking of migrating to a new website or creating a new website and you want to see some of the lack of accessibility issues that your current website has. Again, it's good to know that there's a tool that can help you to flag those type of issues without being an expert. So that's for today, and I hope to see you on the next tech tip of the month.